Okay. I think it's recording. I'm not sure. It doesn't even give you an indication if it is or not. Anyway, so um, I decided to go ahead and. Oh, I'm getting feedback. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Okay. I decided to go ahead and do a recording and to post it because I'm going through a crazy hard time right now. This pandemic has been a blessing to some and a curse to others. Um, I have just been out of my wits' end for the past week. I'm full of more anxiety than others at this time, and I'm going through a lot. I'm going through a lot right now. I'm trying to hold it together, and I'm trying my best to, like my family says, I'm trying to stay safe because I'm really about to get, hood with a lot of people in this pandemic. So many that might not know me too well. I'm not a person that is very out there with my private life. I'm very private. I don't like everyone in my business. I'm not a public speaker. I'm not a person that likes to be in the limelight. It's something I can't stand. It freaks me out, actually. It's phobia. But I wanted to post this because I wanted to know if I can get more information from other people that might know more than me in this circumstance. And I wanted to post this up there because after doing research for the past week, I've been trying to like dabble into, parental kidnapping, custody kidnapping, all these different terminologies. I've been trying to find some information, trying to get people's point of views. I was on YouTube in the middle of the night just looking at people talk and discuss about this. And one of the things that I'm noticing is that when crises like this pandemic are going on, there's a gap in the system when it comes to custody agreements and or custody orders. There's a gap um, that is placed, and I think it's something that needs to be fixed nationwide. There should be some type of clause within custody agreements that states where a child should go in case, God forbid, the state is underneath the state or the country is underneath an emergency. It should be mandatory to have that attached to all custody agreements, in my opinion. However, like I stated, because of what's going on, a lot of people are in the same predicament, and I just been exploring and trying to find information. But I'm noticing moms in the same predicament doing what I'm doing right now, posting it, sharing it, which is somewhat of a comfort to me because I'm kind of like sitting here with my hands tied. I really don't know what to do. So just to give you a background, um, my son Ezra is 10 years old. And years ago, I think when he was about 4 or 5, I I'm telling my other one not to get in the video because he's running around here butt naked. I decided to bring his father to court after I was going, I was pretty much just winging it 5 years into the whole thing. And me and him were doing weekends and, please. We were doing weekends and summer vacations. And I decided that I was gonna, bring him to court because I started dating my husband now. And when I started dating him, he started reacting in a negative way. And the only way that he could hurt me was to try to manipulate me through my son. And he started showing that early in my relationship with my husband. So, me and my husband thought it was best just to put a stop to it and go to court, and I did. And I tried to get sole custody, however, but the judge thought it was only fair that we have split custody and I would have physical custody of Ezra, which means that Ezra lives with me, but his father gets visitation rights on the weekends and in the summer. Now, for the past 10 years, I have been allowing the father to have Ezra in the summer for the 2 months straight. And I've been, he would drop him off on Fridays and pick him up on Fridays and drop him off on Sundays. And we had that type of agreement. But when Ezra's father started realizing that me and my husband were very committed to each other, very serious, I got pregnant with my younger one, Enoch. And when that happened, it's like the doodle hit the fan. Me trying to keep curse words out of it. Stuff hit the fan. And he started calling ACS on us. He was calling Ezra's doctors and trying to force them to make documentation that I was being a mother neglectful. And he was going to the school and picking Ezra up on like a Wednesday and it didn't have a right to do that. So I would have to call the police. And he was just showing his rear end royally. And it was something that he would do like once a year. It would be like a main event. He would call ACS, and everybody knows that has ACS called on them. When they come through, they come through hard. They go to your job. They go to your, they ask your in-laws, family members, rent, the landlord. I mean, they get in your business, and it's very makes you feel violated. And every single time he went through these little events, nothing was founded, of course. And me and my husband got tired of it, so we decided to go to court. But we filed court forms in Bronx County. Now, originally, when I had my custody order originally stated, it was in Orange County. And Bronx County and Orange County are two different things. Bronx County Family Courts is a hot mess. I filed for a modification of our custody agreement, and they gave us a court date. I took off of work. He took off of work. We were there all day long, and we weren't even seen. And on top of that, when I did do it, I asked for a lawyer, a legal aid lawyer, and that person never called me. So I think for the both of us, Ezra's father and I were kind of like, oh, hell no. We did not want to deal with that. And it was a shocker to the both of us that we were going to have to go through that system, because after that, things were pretty much mutual. Like, we weren't arguing. He was still being a major asshole like he is, but it wasn't to the level where we had to drag each other to court. Because we didn't want to deal with that. I have to work. He has to work. We didn't want to have to, no. We didn't want to have to take a day off. So we played it safe, and, we really haven't dragged each other into the system since then. However, what do you want? You're fine. No, please let me do this and stop it. However, due to the pandemic, so around March, my dates might be off. I got to write them down and get them right before I, really go in on this man. But like in March something, Ezra got sick. Ezra is a severe asthmatic. And when the weather changes, this boy is like home bedbound. You really can't have him running around too much. You can't be in school. It's always been that way. He hasn't aged out of it. I know when I was younger and I had asthma, I aged out of it, like when I hit 13, but he hasn't. And he was coughing really bad, and he was having like an allergy thing, and I didn't want him to go to school. And plus, I was a little nervous because with this pandemic going around, had this thing in the back of my head. God forbid this baby gets this thing, corona. oh my God, like that would be devastating. So I was like, you know what? I don't care if he doesn't go to school. I'm going to allow him to go to the doctor. Now, in our custody agreement, the judge made it mandatory on the father's behalf for him to be covered underneath his health insurance. And the father lives in Jersey City. Now, Jersey City health insurance that he has doesn't cover a lot of the the pediatrics out here. So when these things happen with Ezra, I have to allow his father to come and get him because, he has physicians that are covered underneath his insurance in New Jersey. So, I told him Ezra's not doing well. He's coughing a lot. I don't really want him to go to school. I would like him to be seen. Can you come get him? He agreed, and he came and got him on like a Wednesday. And Ezra was out of school Thursday and Friday. Monday came along, and the mayor decided that he was going to take all the children out of school, and he was going to make them do, remote learning. And I was like, okay, what should I do in this predicament? Should I take Ezra back? Should I allow him to have him until April 20th? Because, if the schools are going to be out that long, it kind of eats up all the snow days. And I don't know if they're going to make them, extend school into the summer. I don't know what's going to happen. So should I be, nice and allow him to have him? So being the person I am, that I've been for the past 10 years, I said, what the hell? Yeah, you can keep him to the 20th. I don't mind. Just make sure he does his work and that he logs on and everything's consistent. But the 23rd, so a week went by, and I text him, and I don't text him a lot because he has a tendency not to reply. So I text him and I said, I call Ezra my boo-boo chicken. So I said, how's my boo-boo chicken? Is he okay? He's fine. And I spoke to him on the phone. He seemed fine. And I said, okay, so remote learning is in effect on the 23rd, so make sure he's consistent. He said, fine. So later that day, he texts me and he says, oh, it only took a pandemic for you to realize that I'm supposed to have custody of my child. So I found that alarming. And I texted him back and I said, that's not what we discussed. And what are you talking about? I just was trying to be polite. It wasn't that I decided that you should have custody of him. I just thought it would be a good decision for you to keep him, so he can spend time with you, because I don't know what's going to happen this summer, to be honest with you. His reply back to me was, this, coronavirus thing is going to get out of hand, and New York State is the mecca of this virus right now. And I don't feel my son should be with you. And I am considering, well, he didn't say considering, but he said, I'm taking him to PA and I am going to stay with my family out there. Well, the hairs on my neck stand up, because if anyone knew this man and knew what he's capable of and know his history, I don't underestimate him. And not only that, he works for DIFUS. So he knows the court systems. He knows how the police move out there. And in addition to him threatening to take my kid to PA, he states, oh, the court systems are closed. Nobody's open right now. The police are not going to listen to your situation. The courts are not going to take your information because everything's shut down. So pretty much in translation, he's telling me, I can take your kid to PA and no one would give a shit. So I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. You know what? I know I agreed for you to have him to the 20th, but I'm going to take that back. I don't agree with this. You're kind of freaking me out. I know your behavior, so I'm coming to pick up my son. He tells me, no, I can't pick up my son, which makes me even more scared. So me, frantically, I'm calling everybody underneath the sun, me knowing what I know the first thing I need to do is get in contact with somebody in the court system. But because of the pandemic, everything is shut down. Like, there's no number, and there's an emergency number, but they keep on talking about domestic violence. This is not a domestic violence issue. This is a kidnapping issue. What do I do? Who do I talk to? Calling numbers, and I'm getting nowhere. So finally, I freak out and I call my mother crying because I'm like, Mommy, you know this man, you know what he's capable of, you know what he'll do. She called my Uncle Bobby, and my Uncle Bobby is like my father. And he gave me a call and he said, Amber, he's a bishop, and he says, you know what God do we serve? And you know God is the head of all of this, and you know that he is to still kill and destroy. And this is the reason why his father is showing his behind right now, is because he's using it to his advantage. Ezra's father is a complete butthead, but he is not stupid, and he knows the system very well. And he is slow and calculated. He doesn't make any moves, not unless he knows that he can get away with it. And that's the reason why I'm more scared than anything. So, with that being said, I was like, okay, what do I do? So my cousin is a lawyer, but he is a business lawyer. And I told him the situation, how I drove to Jersey City. I called the police. I showed up with my custody agreement and proof of the text with him threatening to take my son. The police came, had attitudes, told me straight off the back before we even started the whole process that they couldn't do anything. If he is reluctant to give me the child, they can't take him. I said, I don't care. Just do what you got to do. They didn't look at my paperwork. They didn't bother to read it. They didn't look at anything. They knocked on the door, spoke to the father. He gave them his, bull. They spoke to my son. My son said he wanted to stay. I spoke to my son. My son seemed scared, confused. And I know his father. I know how he is. I know that he is very verbally abusive about me, beats me down, scaring my son. I think, in my opinion, I feel, or in my spirit, if anyone's a spiritual person, that he's telling my son that he can't come home because of the whole situation with the pandemic. He doesn't want him coming home, or you shouldn't want to go to your mother's because you'll probably get sick and die. I don't know what he's telling him. That's just me. I don't know that for a fact, but that's just me knowing the father. So, long story short, in that event, I couldn't even get my kid. So I get back in the car and I come back and I call a few of the people that I did speak with, and I called ACS. ACS said they couldn't do anything unless I opened up a case or there was a case open. So once I didn't know what to do, my uncle told me to call like a pro bono lawyer. And I did, and I spoke to the lawyer, and she told me, okay, the courts are closed, but you should be able to file things that are essential. And she was like, this is an essential situation because he's threatening to kidnap your child, and that's parental kidnapping. So she told me to fill out a form called writ of habeas corpus. I don't know Latin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I was like, let me see what I can do. So I downloaded the forms. I typed everything up. What, Enoch? I'm doing something right now. So I decided to go ahead. And fill out the forms. And while I was filling out the forms, I decided to do a modification. And I did the modification of custody agreement. And I had all of that paperwork ready. And the lawyer said, go submit it. Well, may I add, I'm 4 months pregnant, high risk, have a hard time walking because of the baby causing problems with my back. And I told my husband, I said, look, I don't know if I could, go there on my own. I think there's going to be a lot of running around going on because they're kind of running around with their like a chicken with their head cut off. They don't know what's what right now. So he had to take off work, and we glove up, we mask up, we go, and they're not even taking anything. Like the doors are locked with signs on the wall stating that if you want to make an emergency domestic violence claim, call this number. Nothing on there stating anything about trying to get an essential form put into the system. I went online and I was trying to figure out if I can do e-filing, and I don't know if I could even e-file family court forms. There's no instructions. There's no nothing. It's just telling just corona, 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 corona all over the place. No one's giving you any way to get any information to proceed if you do have to do essential filing. If you're saying that essential filing is the only way that you're going to get any forms in, okay, so what's the process for that? Who do you call for that? That information is not posted. So, with that being said, I spoke to a girlfriend of mine in the church, and she has a girlfriend that's been in this, deal with this, and she says, the best thing you can do is document everything and communicate with him if you can. And I tried yesterday to communicate with him to ask him whether or not he will allow me to have my child, and he told me no. So I'm here without my kid, with no way to do what I need to do. And I'm trying to figure out how to get these forms submitted. So the whole purpose of me posting this is to shed some light on this situation, because, like I stated, I honestly feel that moving forward, courts should have some type of automatic clause in the agreements, the custody orders that state in emergencies like this one in particular, who the child should be with. And all states should abide by that and follow that decree. But unfortunately, now I'm sitting here 2 weeks without my son. And because of all of this nonsense with people not knowing what they're doing, for all I know, he can just pack up and go to Mexico if he wanted to, because if I can go there and state that that's my son, and they didn't even bother looking at my paperwork, who's to say he'll go to PA or he'll go to Mexico, and enforcement is not even going to bother to look at the forms when he decides to leave. So at this point, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to call. Me and my husband now probably are going to have to take out a loan and hire a lawyer and try to pursue this. So I'm just posting this to let everyone know, moms that are probably in the same predicament right now because of the pandemic. Be easy. Just, if you are trying to communicate with the father and you're trying to be as fair as possible, or mother, it could be the mother that's doing it, whatever the circumstances may be, just document everything and try to do everything in your best power to be legal about it. I don't have a lot of money because of the pandemic. I'm not working. Also, I'm pregnant, so we don't have a lot of money coming in, and we really can't afford to take any more loans out. I have student loans. I have credit cards, but this is forcing us to do this. But what some people fail to realize is when it comes to a mother love, nothing's really going to stop you. And nothing will stop me. So my question to people out there that've been in this experience, what was the procedure that you went through to get your kid back? What was the steps you took? If you can remember, what was the forms you had to fill out? Does anyone know of any phone numbers within the family court system that I can call to get the essential e-filing or essential filing done? I'm at my wit's end. I'm desperate. So if anyone knows any information that could help me or lead me in the right direction, that would be greatly appreciated. Just leave them in the comments. Um, like I said, this is something that is very foreign for me. Um, I'm just trying my best to figure it out as I go.